fake author. Flies don't have hands. Am I on?
Yeah.
Just wait for a few people coming on. Just on myself tonight. My wife's been there working non-stop. Made us lovely dinner today. Who's the first one on? On early tonight, guys. Going to watch a nice film tonight. Relax.
Do a proper positive podcast tomorrow.
Yes, we've got tomorrow, guys. But we'll have a nice family day. We're having me and Bobby been to Tesco. We've got nice food. Emma's made us nice salmon and potatoes and veg and all that. It's been beautiful. So I'm waiting for that. It's all done. But I've had to come on here. Let's wait a few more. Come on, guys.
I won't be taken by.
Okay, my darling. Well, beautiful wife. Chelsea Daft, hello. Sean Tappan, how you, mate? Simon Sturridge, Tony Eslick.
Oh, yeah.
Lee, hello, mate. Michael Hustan from Coatbridge. Is it Coatbridge? That's where I'm from, yeah. Scouts Kid 90, hello. Greg Thomas, hi. Chelsea Daft, okay, mate, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Chelsea Daft knows what's been going on.
Chelsea Daft, a great guy. He's been getting loads of threats and everything and all. Yeah.
No, he knows.
No, loads of he knows, yeah. Let's just have you do it, please.
Don't mention that one. Yeah.
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 Let's have a look. I can't see what you've just put. Yeah.
That one's.
This is me solicitor.
Oh, yeah.
What solicitors keep me right?
That one's for that one.
Yeah, I know all that. Yeah. Just a quick one for you, Cumbria Truth. Right? If you've got a problem with my wife, you say you haven't got a problem with me. Well, you haven't got a problem with me. Well, you haven't got a problem with my wife, you've got a problem with me. So stop talking shit about my wife. My wife does nothing wrong. So if you want me to come and see you, I'll meet you anywhere you want. So don't talk shit about my wife, okay? So let's move on and stop talking rubbish. I thought you were a good lad. I stuck up for you a few times. I've talked to you a few times. Thought you're a good lad. So don't let me fall out with your brother. So just anyway, let me do this now. So let me do this, please. Yeah. So I'm just talking about the fake author, and thank you to Terry Dicko, my wife, the other day, when they did the video, which was outstanding from Terry, that 100% truth. Terry Dicko is a good lad. He's all facts, all truth. There's no lies. I'm just sick to death of the fake author coming on saying every story I put on's a lie. The one about Paul Sykes when I went to Wakefield. Now he's already put this in the Resurrection book, which I did with him. So why would he put it in the book of its lies? Can I ask you that, fake author? Why would you put it in the book of its lies? And then why would you go on the Jimmy O show saying Brian Cockerill went to Wakefield and offered Paul Sykes out twice? That's on their live. He did a live. It's on there. So why would you do that? Also, he went on and said on the Jimmy O show that Paul Sykes, this is his words, and this is him telling the story. And I was just disgusted with him when he done this. I'll tell you the truth. What happened is we went there, me, him, and Maniok, and on the day we went there, Maniok took us there, and he come out and he was absolutely stunk of alcohol. We'd been on it all night and sniffed. It was all over his nose and everything. So when we got there, he was going, you're talking all the time off his head. So anyway, we got to the place, and I did my bit about when the carry on with Paul Sykes. I told him that, and then he also went on and he told his story. So when he told his story, I told him about my brother being raped as a kid, and later on in life he killed himself through being raped by a paedophile. So I can't stand paedophile. So he wasn't deliberately does this. Deliberately, every 5 minutes he was going, stop, can I just have a break and go in the toilet, come back out, like all that shit, and back to it. This just went on. The cameraman said to me, is he on his head or what? I went, yeah, he is, mate. He said, so anyway, next minute, we sat there and he went, he's going, Paul Sykes is, and Paul Sykes. He's in love with Paul Sykes, it's obvious, he's properly in love with Paul Sykes. So anyway, he's watched his documentary over 100 times. I think it's 130 times. He's obsessed with Paul Sykes. So anyway, he's going on about Paul Sykes when he was in jail. This is bad, he said. He said, but it's funny, he's laughing like that, no, horrible laugh he's got. So he starts laughing, and then he tells us the story about when Paul Sykes used to have sex with people in jail. He used to get a page three girl out of the newspaper, put it on the back of them, and have sex with them from behind. Absolutely disgusting. We all know, because I told you the story about, he was a pure serial rapist, and people were frightened of him. And he was just a bully. He used to go in pubs spitting in people's drinks. Got bashed off a few people, and he never come back. So we went to Wakefield. He was telling the story. He tells the story. When I went to Wakefield with a couple of lads, we went down there and we went looking for Paul Sykes because he had a couple of items of some lad who got a lot of money, and we got paid good money. Me and a heavyweight boxer from this end and another lad. We went down. We went into the pub, and it was in the pub in Wakefield. And we went in there, and I said, "Oh, I'll get outside, get outside." He wouldn't get outside with me. And then the lad another time went down. We went down again, and we went to find somebody else down there in Wakefield. And we went in the same pub, and Sykes was in the pub again. And the lad who was with me was a proper good boxer. But Sykes was a good boxer. He offered him outside to have a fight. He wouldn't come out. Twice he offered him out. He offered him out there. And no one said fake offer that he wasn't in off the park. We know he went with the Spencers. We know Sykes come up here. But when he come up here, Teddy Dick will tell you the story because Teddy's friend was there and Teddy was there. What happened is, don't forget to push the like buttons if you think I'm telling the truth, guys, please. It really, really helps. And Paul Sykes was in off the park, and he was in a place doing a bit of a gentleman's night. And when he was in there, one of the Middlesbrough lads, right, Sykes, he's still fucking the YPs, which means young prisoners in prison. And he was known for doing it. He was doing it in Wakefield. He was doing it there. He was just disgusting. And Duffy did have the altercation in there, and he even was putting that in the book, the fake author. Because when I told him, I went, "Oh, this all matches." He said, "80 such and such Lee was in, yeah." And Sykes just moved out. You're right. You've got this spot on, Brian. 100% is spot on. And when he was doing the book with me, the tax, what was he called? The Once Upon a Time in Teesside. When we were doing the book, he went, "Well," I said, "Can we do a new book about me and Lee, the adventures of me and Lee Duffy?" He went, "Well, you can't have rang him out as if he's now left the Lee." I went, "He isn't. I've got loads of stories that you don't know that Lee told me." So he said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, I've got loads of stories." He went, "Well, tell me one then." So I told him about 20, and he went, "Fucking hell, these are unbelievable. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me this?" And we could have put it in the fest book, because I said, because that was the Golden Goose, that one. I said that was the chalice, like that, the Golden Cup. I said the first man book was just me coming back from being on a drug addiction, which I admitted in the book I was on drugs. He went, "No, don't say that." He said, "If you do that, you'll absolutely ruin yourself. No one's going to want to listen to you. They're going to finish you." I said, "No, but if I can tell people that I was bad on drugs and I got off them and I've got myself right and through Jesus, I've got myself married and I've got myself settled and I'm happy now without the drugs, other people might listen to me. The people might want to do the same as me, so I can give them help." So since then, I've been in schools telling people. I've been in hostels. We've been at our church. I've told people. I've told you on here. I've written it in the book. I've done it on podcasts. I've done it all over. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And Tyson Fury and Mike Tyson and people like that, all of them have done it. So I thought, if they can do it, you know what I mean? We can all help other people, and that's what we've done, to help people. But he's saying I'm making these stories up. So why did you write the book then? Resurrection. Most of the stories I'm telling are here. A lot of these stories I'm telling are here in the book, but I'm telling them in a different way. And a lot of them are kept back. The ones with speed, I didn't want him to put that in, because I knew he'd put his own spin on it. So when I was writing, I started telling them stories about the Mal, about on the door, about this and about the Paul Sykes. When he went, "Oh, that all fits in." You got all the dates out of each thing where he was saying, "Yeah, Lee was in that time and Lee got out there, and yeah, Sykes was in that time," and it all makes sense. And Taffy Lewis was in. I said, another lad, he went, "Oh yeah, I've heard of him." So he was all day. He was like, "Oh, I can't believe this." So then he goes on his own page and goes, "Listen, folks, a massive announcement, massive news, breaking news, unbelievable. I have just had a lesson off Brian Cockerill on Lee Duffy." He says, "I really thought I knew about Lee Duffy. He's just given me about 30, 40 stories straight off. And the marvellous." He said, "Why didn't you tell me we'd have done this fest? This book, guys," this is his words, "this book, guys, I would do for free. I would do this book for free. It's going to be the biggest. It's going to eclipse every single other book that Middlesbrough's made. This is going to be the biggest book in Tayside that's ever been and ever will be. This is the Golden Goose, whatever you call it, some words to that effect. And he was bullying me up. And Brian doesn't tell lies. All the stories from him are true. They can all be checked out. He's on the stage when he's in the snooker hall in Bishop in front of 200 people. He's on there talking, going, Brian is going to tell you every single thing. Brian is going to answer every single question, and Brian doesn't tell lies. So why is Brian telling lies now, Mr. Fake Author? I'll tell you why. Because we're doing so well with the YouTube. We're doing so well because we've got a movie going on, and we're filming next week again. We was filmed last week. We're going to be filming a week today. We're back filming again. And what's happened is they've made me a bigger part in the movie. So you're on about this Paul Sykes movie. You're the liar. You've been on about this Paul Sykes movie now for I think it's been since you've been on about 8 years, 8.5 years, and there's still no Paul Sykes movie. It's all just made up in your head. And you're in love with Paul Sykes, and you can't stand the thought of me putting him down. I'm not putting him down, Mr. Fake Author. I'm telling the facts, the whole truth. And people from Wakefield, like Dale said the same. He got filled in by a lad called Terry down there, got battered by a bar stool. So it's not made up stories, it's the truth. And because we've had 48,000 people in 2 days listening to my stories, the jealousy's coming out. You can see it a mile away. Why don't you just leave us alone? And I've told you, if you want to do the drug test, I'll do the drug test. If you want to go on somebody's show and you want to go on that show, then I'll be out on them as well. So don't worry about that, because I know all sorts about them as well. So if you want to keep calling me stupid names and doing that, that's okay. You do that, but stop bringing my wife into things. Call my wife a prostitute with the fake accounts. Because I know it's you, Fake Author. Because there's no one in the world we've got trouble with, only you, with your stupid lies. You're the only liar about. You tell lies about everything you do. Don't forget to push the like buttons, guys. If I'm telling the truth, if you think I'm lying, don't push them. If you think I'm telling the truth, push the like buttons. And I'm just sick to death of it. And there's other people have outed you now. Other people like Terry, Dodgy Dave has been on there, and they only tell the truth. True Media's did 3 videos on you, and there's about another 7 to come. And I just thank the other people we didn't even know these people have come forward. There's been another half a dozen people come forward we didn't even know he's been torturing. And he's at it again with Dale, torturing Dale again now because Dale's come on. So the thing is, every time someone like Terry said, Terry got this spot on. If somebody said to me, Ryan, I think, say, 5th grade would have beat you in a fight, I'd say, okay, mate, that's your thoughts, okay, no problem. I won't go, I'll smash his life. I don't carry on like a lunatic. If somebody could beat me in a fight, or if I wasn't as good as somebody else's strength or whatever, or somebody was better at something than me, I would say, yeah, you're right, 100%. I don't say, thinking, well, I was right and he's wrong, and his wife's just as bad. His wife is worse. And stop doing what you do in the kitchen, because all that stuff can all be tested in your hair strand, a hair strand chronicle, and you're finished. Why don't you come on with the hair strand test like I'll give mine, because it's in your hair for over 2 years of drugs. I will give a hair strand test. I will pay for yours. I'll pay for mine. We'll get it done properly, and we'll see who's telling lies. If you've got nothing to worry about, why won't you take this test? That's what I'm asking you. Why won't you take this test? Do you know? If somebody called me a crackhead, yeah, former crackhead, you called me this, that, and the other, all these pathetic. And a fly, when I'm doing that with my hands, it's because my nerve, I've had 6 vertebrae taken out, and I've had 6 units put in. I've got nerve damage, severely nerve damage. I've got paralysed hand, and my legs were paralysed for 8 months when you were constantly calling me Spacker Bride the Spacker, Bride the fucking cripple, Bride the fucking the Mong, Bobby the Mong. My brother called me Bob brother, called me other brother who committed suicide. You were the only one who knew his name was Skinny Cockerill, one of the only people from around here. I told him, and he committed suicide by getting raped by a rapist who raped him when he was a kid, and he killed himself. And you keep putting on, Brian, it's your brother from the grave, like you did with Lee. You did it with Lee Duff. You were pretending that people were phoning Brenda up, his mum, and saying, it's Lee from the grave. Then when I spoke to Carl Ledford, she said, what a load of garbage. And then you said the grave got smashed up 3 times. It got smashed once. You always have to exaggerate the lies all the time. And you said Lee got stabbed 7 times. He got stabbed in the back and he got stabbed under the arm. Fatal injury there. And there was no ambulance called when you said, oh, if he'd held on and all this rubbish, when you talking to your police officer friends, could you live with the police? Could your police informer You're 100% police informer, because how can you write a book, folks, on a police officer? How could I write a book on a copper? Never in a million years would they trust me to write it. So how has he got the trust to write a book on the police? He's done 2 books on 2 police officers, former police officers, and they tell them stories about Lee Duffy. Surely that's the protocol there's broken somewhere. When his own family, like Cockerill, his partner and his daughters, can't get any information, but he's putting in books for police officers. It doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, carry on with your books, your great books. But let me just say, you said you've got 25 books going to be getting written. So the other 3 you haven't written at the moment, so you've only written 22. Let me tell you this one. 2 Paddy Maloney's you haven't written. They've been taken down, right? He's done them himself. He's done them himself. He bought you out and took the books. So there's 2 down. So you're down to 20. I've took 1, so you're down to 19. Terry's took 2, so you're down to 17. Marty's took 1, you're down to 16. So the books are dwindling and dwindling down and down, because that's what's happening here. People are finding out what you are, and no one wants to buy your books. Like I said to someone, who in the right mind would want to watch a film about a man that raped kids in jail? And it's not just me saying this. When we were at the snooker hall, we were there, and we were there for about 3 hours or something. People were taking pictures all night and taught me. Then you mentioned Paul Sykes, Jake Arthur. And so he went, he fucking raped my nephew him. And the other lads, he tried to rape my fucking sister. And then all the Artie-Pole lads turned on you. And then all the Gypsy lads turned on you because you wanted Paul Sykes. So why did the whole crowd go mental about Paul Sykes? I mean, look, we'll stop talking about him and I had to calm them all down, because you know exactly what the people were like there, because they all knew what you were. And when you fell asleep in the crowd, made a fool of yourself in the crowd, everyone laughed at you. And they all wanted to cut your eyebrows off and draw paint on you and all sorts of stuff. And cut your hair off, your beautiful hair, your gorgeous long hair. And when they cut that off, and everyone was laughing at you in the crowd, weren't you? Because you were asleep for over an hour in front of 200 people while I did a speech on stage with Maniok was there, my wife, and we pulled it off. And at the end of that night, we paid you for doing nothing. You fell asleep. We paid you while you were drinking stuff, rubbish. And then you were shaking bottles at the end of the night. Look, empty bottles, you were doing that and drinking bottles. And everyone was like, what's he doing, the fake author? And they just, none of them wanted you back. So when they asked us, we'll have you and your wife back, and Tony and Maniok and Bobby, but we'll never want him. In fact, Sleeping Beauty, a nickname was called, because you fell asleep in the crowd. So why do you keep saying I'm making these stories up? We're in the books. Why do you keep saying I'm making these stories up? If you're saying this is going to be the best book ever, what Brian Crockett's come out with, I'll do it for free. And that's you talking on these machines, what do you call it, on the computers. And that's you talking on and Jimmy, you're saying Paul Sykes used to have sex with the paper on the back of them. So what does that mean? What's all that about? Why am I making the stories up? And people are corroborating. Why would you say I never had a Cosworth? I had 6 different Cosworths. I've got the pictures of them. I've got people who worked on them, and I never ever once said I was a rally driver. I said I had a full Group N rally car on the road, built by a lad called Adrian Horsley, who was a professional rally driver, amateur rally driver from Redcar. And he lived there. He lived in Redcar, and he used to over Warrenby. He used to have his own garage on the right, and he would put the Yokohama tyres on for me, the TSW wheels where I used to get from the place in near the Isaiah Nose Clinic where Lee Duffy got his tattoo, just there. It used to be a garage there. It's still there today now. You get your tyres there just before you go down the road there, before you get to McDonald's. And I also had carbon pads put on, because the pads on the Cosworth would set alike because it goes too fast. So you'd have to get these carbon ones. And we had new discs put on. We had the green fuel injectors. I think the green on a normal Cosworth. I think it was grey ones we put on so you could get more fuel in. The actuator boost gauge I put on it and everything. So I did have Cosworths, and I would have known all these things about Cosworth. Mine was 330 brake horsepower. I think it was 116, I think, standard, something like that. So I did have Cosworths, and everyone knows. And Speedy was my friend. You're saying I didn't know Speedy. Speedy was my friend. You're saying I didn't know this one, I didn't know that one. Well, how come all these people know me then? Then you said he never had a fight with a bloke 6'10", it's all made up, it's all shit. Or then you come on and said he left Chris Curry for dead. He ran up and left him. Now, if you go in my archives, folks, don't forget to push the like button if I'm telling the truth. If you go in my archives, you'll see Christopher Curry there saying, if it wasn't for Ryan Cockerill, I'd have been killed. The Iceman attacked me, hit me on the head with a little machete, split his head up, 36 stitches in his head, dragged him in the house. I've gone down the house, kicked the door in, went in there. There was 6 people, weapons. One jumped out the window, one ran out the back way. The Iceman tried to get out the back door, he couldn't get it, was locked. And I had a fight with him. I punched him, he hit the floor. I left the building. The helicopter was coming. We were there for a while. You could hear the helicopter. And I got remanded for that. And Chris Cuddy coming in the court and he went, this man, all he did is save my life. He was sat in the car. We went to collect a debt for the army lad. And the Iceman and the other Allinson, who was in the house, has attacked me, he said. And he had a stab wound on him and he had a broken rib and his head was split wide, covered in bruises all over. And I saved Chris that day from getting killed. And you said I was lying. And you said the same with Tina Shaw. You said you had the permission off her to do the book for her dad. That was all, that documentary. That was lies. Then you said you had the permission with Carol Edwards. She come on and outed you and said you never got the permission off the Duffy family. Laurie Duffy wanted to ask you to not do the book. And other people asked you not to do it to Laurie's family and his daughters and stuff. And what did you do? You tortured his daughters. You tortured the stepson, Peter Duffy. You tortured Carol Edwards for years and years and years, calling her a slag, a shag piece. His son's not even a Duffy. Well, he was his son. He might have been his stepson, but he believed the letter for my son, Peter Duffy. And we had that and we put it in the book. He was his son because you brought him up and he loved him. He used to take him to school on his shoulders. And Peter's a lovely kid, but you just like to hurt people. You're full of poison. You're evil. You're twisted, and no one likes you. No one can stand you anywhere. Anywhere in Middlesbrough you can't go. You've had to move from your house. You were kicked out of North Skelton because you grassed the lads up there with drugs, didn't you? And they got caught. You grassed 3 of them up, 2 of them got caught. And the other lad come round, smash your windows, and we're going to batter you. Then you moved to another part, another village up there, and you got to move from there. Then you went to North Allerton. You went there, and you got kicked out of North Allerton for doing the same. They put your windows through, and you went and you grassed them up to the police, didn't you? You grassed them all up. And then you had trouble at Berry Kills, didn't you, when you were on there? Because I was speaking to a woman who lives there, and she said, when he was on the estate, he was grassing everyone up all the time. He said, trouble with all the neighbours, so they chased him, all the young lads chased you off the estate of Berry Kills. That's why you won't come into Middlesbrough. You got chased out of Park End, didn't you? Got chased away from there. Your mum and dad don't speak to you. They won't have nothing to do with you. So why do you keep making lines up? Why don't you ever? Why is it never a picture with you with your mum and dad? Why is that a picture with your brother and your sister? Because your sister then won't let you in the house because you're poison. They don't want you around because you cause trouble everywhere you go. When you go out for a drink, you can't just go out for a drink. You just drink gallons of it, don't you? And you fall over and you start arguing with people and getting into fights. So therefore, no one likes you because what you do. I just, like Terry said, we need, as a Christian, I said to you, stop taking these drugs. Because if you get caught with them and you're going to get caught in the end. Social services are going to catch you in the end. And that you're going to lose your child. You're going to lose your child for the sake of taking Subutex every day and cocaine and all the other shit you take. And if I'm lying about this, sue me. And if I'm lying about this, take the drug test and prove me wrong. So, yeah, stop calling my wife names and stop pretending that you're something you're not, Jamie. Do you know what I mean? You're just the fake author. Just stop all these telling lies about Jamie Reeves. When Jamie Reeves, when I was going for the Welsh Songs Fan, contacted me. Jamie Reeves wanted me to compete in it, and he said I'm making that up. Well, Brian Flaherty's got the video of it, and so has Chrissy Edwards when they went down. When I was training, they see me and they wanted me to compete. Why would I make lies up when I could be checked out and people can find things? I don't make lies up. I tell you the truth, and because you don't like it, and because we're so successful at the minute now, it's killing you. And then your books aren't selling. No one's buying you. We've had the books taken down in the shops. Watersons have taken our books down. Terry's books have been taken down. So there's 2 books there. My book and Marty's is 4, and Paddy Malone's is 6. 6 books on Marty Turner's as well. So there's 6 or 7 books you've had taken down. So you haven't written these. And how can you say by the end of the year I've done 25 books when you haven't even written the other 2 or 3 yet? Just crazy. You just love to talk about yourself all the time. You come on these things, me, I have done this and I have done that, and you haven't even done these things. I mean, the BBC contacted me and Emma, and they asked me, said, we want to do a 3-part TV series on your bride. So me being loyal like I was, and you were managing me at the time, I'd give you the phone number of the lady. You phoned her, and then you come on the radio, on the computer, and you went, guess what? Me, fake author, BBC want me to do a 3-part series, and I'm sworn to secrecy, but I'm going to tell you it could be. You never even mentioned me. Lee Duffy, Paul Sykes, his hero, and what was the other one? Viv Graham. He said it was them three. So anyway, we went to meet them. Lovely two ladies. One was a solicitor. Stephen Wraith was there and Stephen says, they come back to me up, told me their line as well. So Stephen says, right, Stephen Wraith, we goes in, we met them just off the train station. We went in a little building upstairs. It was Steve arranged it. So we went in there and we were talking. And they said, he said, do you know Lee Duffy? She went, never heard of him. Then you said, do you know Paul Sykes? She went, never heard of him. Then they said, if you know Viv Graham, they said, never heard of him. They wouldn't do with it because from London way. And they worked for the BBC and one worked for Channel 5. So she was there, the legal woman, written the things down. And then was going good. And all of a sudden, Stephen Wraith was doing good. Stephen Sayers was doing good. And then what did you say? I could just play the part in the film where Paul Sykes just bums me in the cell. And Stephen and the woman went, oh, we'll have to wrap it there. And Stephen Sayers went, you fake author, get over there and get away from us. And you went out the building. I've got bigger fish to fry than you, and ran out the building. Didn't you? You made a fool of yourself again. Why would you want to say, I want to be bummed by Paul Sykes? You're obsessed by bumming. It's all you talk about all the time. Everyone's bumming him, he's bumming him, he's bumming him. You're just obsessed with it. So you need help. You've got multiple personality. You think you're Paul Sykes, you think you're Lee Duffy, you think you're all these characters you write about, and you get them in your head. And you stood there and tried to be Paul Sykes with a cigar in your mouth. And you're calling people names. Just get on with your life and live your life. And stop torturing people and leave me and my wife alone. All we want to do is live a Christian life. We go out and help people in schools. We're on here for the positive channel. All you want to do is make money. That's all you talk about. And then you were talking about Lee on the corner from Carol Edwards' house, where she had to sit in the house cringing with her daughters, her son, and her granddaughter, because you were making a thing on the corner with Sean Atwood, and he was stabbed and the blood was there and all the gruesome thing that you're doing with the Ripper. Who's interested in the Ripper? I'm not being funny, but it's a 140-year-old murder. And you've come along, our national treasure, and you've sold it in, a couple of weeks. So, yeah, my say to you as a Christian, stop doing what you're doing with that stuff because it's driving you insane. And Terry's right, it's comparing you in judgment. Get on with your life. And live your life, because that's all we want to do, and leave us alone. And all the stories I'm telling you here are true. If I get any wrong, the other night I got one wrong. And a lad said, no, there was no Boston lads. I said, I beg your pardon, mate, you're right, it was YPs. But it's not much difference. YP, young prisoner, or Boston, I thought it was the same thing, but he corrected me, and I apologised to that. You got it right, YPs. And that's why the lad shouted in off the park, where Sykes used to go, with the Spenceleys, which you're right, 100% right, Mr. Fake Author, 100% right. But you were about, 6-year-old when they were going there? When Paul Sykes was going there? So you don't know nothing. You don't know any of the characters in Middlesbrough because you were at school. You were in school, in the primary school as a child. So I don't have any animosity. I don't wish any harm, or your family, or your wife, or your son, or anything. And I didn't say nothing about your son. All I said to you, this is what you're coming out with. You're going to go on somebody's show and say, I called you son. I didn't call you son. What I said was this analogy. I put it as an analogy. How would you like it if someone mentioned your son every year, like they do with Lee? He got killed and he got stabbed and he got this. That's all I said. How would you like your son to be mentioned every time from different stories all over? And it's lies about, and it's just from fake account. And the one I did mention it was on a fake account, and I did. So how do you know that was me? Unless you're the fake account that's been sending me. So you've been sending me fake accounts. So I've been answering you back. I've been fighting fire. I've done that. I've been fighting fire with fire. And I've been answering whatever you've been saying, pointing to me, I've been saying back just to see if it's you. And lo and behold, what you did, you fell into my trap. But look at me, I'm a little Jew with the hands rubbing. No, you fell into my trap. What you done is you started trolling us again then off your own personal account. War Cry Publishing, War Cry Press, and you put on there, what's the body's